Hey there, welcome back to the Tin Man Boating Club YouTube channel. Alright, so today I'm going to show you how to replace your exhaust or your exhaust tip on a Malibu or Axis boat. This method would probably work for most Malibu and Axis boats, so long as you get the appropriate part. The one I'm going to be working on specifically is I'm going to be removing the surf pipe and replacing it with a short extension that has a 45-degree cut on it and kind of directs the exhaust down. But this same method should be able to be applied to most boats. You just have to get the appropriate size fitting and exhaust, and make sure that you check it out beforehand to see what you're ordering and see what you're dealing with. So the reason why I'm changing mine from a surf pipe to a short extension, and the other option would be just a flap, is because I ordered the surf pipe on my boat because I thought that it would help with noise behind the boat for the surfer and make it a little quieter. But I did not notice much of a difference. One of its main purposes is it's supposed to direct the exhaust away from the rider, which I believe it probably still does a good job of that. I just was never worried about that part with the flap that I've had on most of my Malibu boats. And the reason why I didn't go with the flap to replace it with is because I figured I'd try out something in between and see if it helps a little bit. But I'm really not worried. I just needed something to replace the surf pipe with. The surf pipe was causing my wakeboard wake not to be able to be completely clean, which I'm very picky on my wakeboard wake, and I have not encountered that on my previous Malibu boats. So I think it must be that, and I'll show you what part of the surf pipe I believe is causing that. And by no means does it make it to where the wake is not usable. Like I said, I'm picky with my wake, and it's making it to where it's got like a ruffle on top of it, and I feel like that kind of catches your edge a little bit as you come off the wake. If you're not a serious wakeboarder, or if you don't try to make your wake as big as possible when you wakeboard, or you're just not doing it that much, you're mostly surfing, then this would not be a problem for you. The surf pipe works great for surfing as far as directing the exhaust away, and it doesn't cause a problem on the wave at all. But in any case, these steps should help you with the replacement on most exhaust tips on most boats. So right here you can see a picture of my boat, and the exhaust tip hanging down in the very back is the surf pipe. And now you see a shot of the surf pipe removed, give you a better look at what the surf pipe is. And right here I'm showing you the plate or the piece on the surf pipe that I think is causing the problem. If you are getting an aftermarket fresh air exhaust system, then you probably don't have to worry about this, because I've not seen this plate on that. I got my part to replace my surf pipe with. This is actually the sealant, so I'm just going to do a little unpackaging here. Ordered a lot of stuff from Prime, as I'm sure a lot of other people do too. So, this is what I got. Okay. Basically, it's 3M white adhesive sealant, 5200. So it actually had clear sealant on it, which I'll show you when I actually replace it. But I couldn't find clear, but it doesn't need to be clear because you don't even see it. And anything that is to push out, I would just wipe off. So got that. And here is what I've been waiting for here. So this is I said chrome in my other video, and I actually think it's stainless steel. And that's typically what it's put on boats. But it's my handy dandy box opening knife. It's mainly what I use this knife for these days. But this is just a short extension from it probably when it comes out, I don't know, 6 inches or something. I guess we'll find out. From the boat, and it is a 45-degree angle cut, as opposed to just a turn down. It's a 45-degree angle cut, which to me should be sufficient. My last several boats have had just the flap, which I'd probably be fine with that too. Like I said, I did not notice a big difference from in sound going to the surf pipe. I think a lot of the reason for the surf pipe is to avoid inhalation of carbon dioxide, or exhaust, I should say, not carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, I should say, I think is what it is. But yeah, just to not inhale the exhaust. But I've never really just cared about that. I've never noticed it being so bad. There has been times where, like when you're surfing, and the wind is at your back, that there is times where, and when it's really cold, you can see it, where the exhaust will kind of hang out around you, but still enough fresh air around. I guess if you're really worried about it, you could probably do something about it. But all right, so here it is. So it actually comes with the flap on it. If you look at it through there, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it, but there's the flap. Okay. But I figured this might be good because as the boat's tipped like this, the sound is going down, as opposed to, you can hear it while the surf is up here. If it's just a flap, you can still hear it because it's, still, that noise is still here to hear. But if it's pointed about like this, and you got that 45-degree cut, figured it might help because it'll be pointed down. Either way, I just wanted that surf pipe off of there, and I needed something because it's just a hole in the back of the boat right now that would be letting a bunch of water in, so I needed something. And I kind of figured this would be the case. This does not have the cup on it, or the cuff, I guess, like the surf pipe does. There's that little bump here, or collar, so that when the clamps go on right here, it can't slide off. But I wasn't worried about that anyways, because you can see there's bolts that go into the flange, and that's actually what holds it to the boat. And there's basically pipe clamps or whatever that hold it right here, and seal the exhaust to going into here instead of inside the boat. And these actually, the bolts hold the flange to the boat. I do notice that the flange on this looks a little smaller than the surf pipe. We'll see how that works out. I may end up having like some residue from the old glue on sticking out. Not too worried about that, but I can probably come up with a way to clean that off if it really bugs me. Also, I'll show you, but there is 4 holes in the surf pipe flange. I've got 3 in this. I knew that when I ordered it, so I might be able to use one of the holes that's existing, but I'll probably have to drill a couple new holes. Also, I don't see any bolts in this package. That's all right, because I plan on using the bolts from my surf pipe. Here I'm showing you what the new pipe looks like compared to the surf pipe. All right, so there's the hole in the back of the boat. The thing that I don't show you here is the the removal of the pipe. So once you've got the bolts out, you do have to heat up the old sealant to remove it. I used a hair dryer to do that. And now you can see that I'm just cleaning up the old sealant with a razor. You need to be careful so that you don't scuff up or scratch the surface too much. I'm just trying to make sure that there's not too much of it sticking outside, because the new flange is smaller than the flange on the surf pipe. I'm also sanding it with 5000 grit just to remove a little bit of the scratches and any other areas that might stick out. Now you can see that I am dry fitting the new exhaust. So it's a tight fit, which is good, because that means that it's the right size. So 4-inch exhaust tip. And I'm just kind of maneuvering it around, checking out where I want the holes line up, how I want the 45-degree cut to point down. So just lining that up. I do notice that none of the holes are matching, so I am going to have to drill new holes. So just adjusting that around to check that out. And you can also see that it is not covering that far right corner hole, which is why you'll see later I actually kind of do like a caulking method with the sealant to kind of cover that up a little bit instead of wiping it completely off. And now you can see I'm just tapping where I'm going to put the holes through the hole on the flange with my drill, just so I can see where to drill the holes at. I did this after I've lined up the exhaust tip where I want it to be. Then I can pull the exhaust back out. And now I can go ahead and drill those holes all the way out. And I just try to keep the drill as straight as I can. You can see I just stuck it in one of the previous holes, and what I was doing there is making sure that their drill bit is the right size. I did hold it up to a bolt prior to this and check that out, and it actually worked out really good. The size was about perfect. It actually allowed when I put the bolts in here later, it actually kind of threaded on the fiberglass, which actually helped me out a lot since I was doing this by myself. You can see that after I'm done drilling, I'm cleaning it. I just had some cleaner spray that I use to clean the boat with in general, and I just clean off that area. You want to try to make sure that that's all clean and dry. Now I'm taking the sealant and I'm filling the old bolt holes to make sure that they're sealed off and they're not going to let any water in. All this stuff's going to be behind the flange, so it should be good. But I'm just making sure. So filling in all the old bolt holes. And you just want to put enough in to fill the hole. You don't need to get crazy with it, and I would say don't do too little either. And this sealant, you're actually supposed to, the reason why I didn't buy a big tube of it, is you're actually supposed to use it within 24 hours of opening it, and then it's going to harden or it's going to go bad. You can also see now that I am filling the new holes with some of the sealant, so that when I put the bolts in, the sealant is on the bolts as well. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bead all the way around the flange on the inside of it, right in the crevice there, or right on that weld basically. And that's going to be kind of the main seal, because that'll actually flatten out when I bolt it to it. I'll flatten it out and it'll spread that, kind of like you saw the film that was left behind from the surf pipe. So now I'm putting the exhaust tip back on with the sealant. I'm trying to line up the holes, press it in as good as I can. And now I'm putting the bolts in. And like I said, they were actually threading into the fiberglass, so it actually kind of worked out well for my purposes. And now you can see that I'm cleaning up the excess sealant. All right, now we're on the inside of the boat. and you can see one of the bolts there with the washer on it, and I'm about to twist the nut on, and it's a nylock nut. So yeah, just tightening that up, and this is where it comes in handy if you have an extra person, because they could be on the inside holding that bolt, and you could be screwing it in from the easy side there. But I was by myself, so I had to do it kind of the opposite way, and luckily that sealant already held to it pretty good, so I actually was able to do it from this side, and it wasn't turning the bolt. So I didn't get a great shot of the other bolt, but basically I'm working on the other bolt now, and I ended up getting a socket for this side, and the bottom one was really hard. I wish they wouldn't have placed the hole on the very bottom of the exhaust tip. I actually had to get extensions, a couple extensions for my socket, and it was a pain in the butt to line it up. And then I actually lined it up and left the socket in there, and then I went on the outside and I used my screwdriver to screw it in and tighten it up from the outside on the bottom one. You'll see me switch over to a socket here, and I think I just used the extension to twist it in a ways, and then I'll actually grab the drive to tighten it up. Now you see me working on the hose clamps. So there's two hose clamps here, and basically I'm just tightening these back up, and these are actually pretty easy as long as you can get a wrench on them. So you just tighten those back up, and that's going to seal the exhausts going out of the boat instead of leaking into the boat. And there's the finished product. So not too hard. So that's it. Basically, when you remove it, so I didn't show the removal of the surf pipe, but basically it's the opposite process. You're just undoing those bolts, both on the flange and on the hose clamps. The only thing that I really didn't show there that you're going to need to do is, in order to remove it, you're going to have to heat up that sealant that's there. So this clear sealant you saw around the hole, I actually just took a hair dryer and just heated up the pipe really good, and then I could just sit there and move the pipe off and eventually kind of pull it off of there. You could use a heat gun, or I like using a hair dryer. I've actually got a heat gun. I just like using a hair dryer because sometimes a heat gun can be too hot for certain things, and when I was dealing with gel coat. So, and then again, just to touch back on, if that the plate that was causing the problem, or that I think is causing the problem, I'll know for sure this weekend, and I'll post another video about it. But the plate on the surf pipe, I think, is causing the problem. You want a surf pipe, and you get the FAE or the fresh air exhaust product. I've never seen that plate on that product, so you might be okay. I'm actually curious if people have feedback on that and can tell me, how it does for the wakeboard wake. If you do any wakeboarding while having that fresh air exhaust surf pipe. But I can tell you the Malibu one, that's the problem. I definitely would not want it on my boat because I'm mostly a wakeboarder. I love to surf too, but I'm mostly a wakeboarder, so I'm worried about my wakeboard wake. So yeah, if you have any feedback on the fresh air exhaust, leave it in the comments below. I'm also going to be selling the surf pipe, so if anybody's interested, go ahead and contact me or leave it in the comments, and I'll let you know. I'll give you some more information about it. If you're interested in where I purchased my exhaust tip and the sealant, I'll put links in the description below. The exhaust tip, the reason why I decided to get that exhaust tip is because it was only $100, and then I paid $43 to get it shipped here within a couple of days so I could have it for this weekend. So I'll put information in the description below. Basically, the exhaust tip was from Hardin Marine. I probably would have normally looked at Malibu and their turn down exhaust, but I wanted it quick. And I knew that it would probably take a while if I ordered it through the dealer from Malibu. And honestly, it seems like it's a perfectly fine product, and as a pretty reasonable price. So, all right, so that's all I have for you. I think my next how-to video is actually going to be how to change the oil in this boat. because I'm coming up on my first oil change after break-in period. So after I've got, it's like between 10 and 20 hours, you're supposed to give it its first oil change. So that'll be my next how-to video. So tune in for that. But thanks for tuning in this time. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to give me a thumbs up. Also, like I said, give me some feedback, leave some comments below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe. Otherwise, I appreciate you watching my videos, and we'll see you next time.